Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video this morning I am going to be giving you an update regarding Mauricio Pochettino, like I've been doing on a regular basis, and there's lots of other things to talk about. So now reportedly Mauricio Pochettino is now the favourite to become Manchester United's next manager. Obviously, earlier on this week, it did report out from the mainstream media saying that Mauricio Pochettino has begun negotiations with Manchester United, and I think he's interested in taking the managerial role at the football club. Now, don't forget, he has demanded a few things. He says if he is to be recommended in as Manchester United manager, he wants to take control of the transfers, and he doesn't want Ed Woodward as our director of football. And now, from my own perception, I think we need to recommend Mauricio Pochettino in now. But it's probably more likely he will come in at the end of the season because obviously our board are still determined to back Solskjaer despite our 2-0 defeat to Burnley the other night. That was our first defeat to Burnley at Old Trafford for 58 years. But Solskjaer has been under intense pressure this season, reflecting on our disastrous, season, because we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. So what I mean in that aspect is, this is the worst we've ever been in the Premier League era. Since now Solskjaer has been made permanent Manchester United manager, we have lost more games in the league. He's lost more games in the league than he has won. So I think he's managed 32 games in the Premier League since he got appointed permanent manager. He's won 11, he's drawn 9, and he has lost 12. And obviously, I think we're sitting around 5th or 6th in the league. We are 6 points behind top 4. We've had so many opportunities this season to, close the gap on that top 4 because, Chelsea have been so inconsistent. And, the main explanation why we're in that top 4 is because Chelsea have been so inconsistent. But, I don't see us getting that top 4 this season. I did say at the start of this season that our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4, so we can get Champions League football. I also don't see us getting any silverware on the board, so I don't see us winning the Europa League, another route to Champions League football. I don't see us winning the FA Cup and that. So I just think Manchester United need to finish Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now, because there's a lot of United fans that are demanding him out. Obviously, you're getting the odd few people and maybe a few neutrals that will say, we should stick by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because some people believe if he is given the time that he is demanding, then maybe he could emulate into the next Jurgen Klopp. Because obviously, Jurgen Klopp is doing fantastically well now with Liverpool. He's obviously, Jurgen Klopp got recommended in October 2015. So Jurgen Klopp's been at Liverpool now around, 4.5 years. But don't forget, he didn't settle in straight away, because his record after his first 28 or 29 games was abysmal. So take that into account. But I don't think he'll emulate into the next Jurgen Klopp will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is totally comparison to Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp won his 151st game yesterday night as Liverpool manager. Liverpool beaten Wolves by 2-1, and Liverpool still remain unbeaten in the Premier League. They've now extended their unbeaten run to 40. Games unbeaten. They've won 22 games out of 23. And take into account they haven't lost at Anfield for almost 3 years, and they are sitting 16 points in front of City, 19 points in front of Leicester, with still a game in hand. And I think Liverpool are now around 8 or 9 wins away from winning the Premier League, and it will be their first Premier League title for around 30 years. So yeah, Liverpool did beat Wolves by 2-1. So, reverting back to what I said about Solskjaer, I feel as though, from my own perception, Solskjaer has had long enough at the football club. He's been at Manchester United now for 13 months, so he has been here over the year. He's been permanent manager for around 10 months now, and analysing the vast majority of that 10-month period, he has enjoyed a really difficult time. And he was saying, at the prior to the Arsenal game, he was saying, he thinks 2020 will be a successful year for Manchester United. So he said he'd expect us to enjoy a better year this year than what we saw last year. But we've already lost 3 league games this year. We've already lost 3. And, Solskjaer is aware that it is a transition period, and Solskjaer's hopeful that we can get through this transition period. But, I don't think Man United will sack him at the moment. And, the question is, can Man United afford to sack Solskjaer? Because obviously it got revealed the other week how much it would cost the club to sack him. He said it would cost us around £5 million. So that's around £15 million less than what it paid. Than what it cost us, to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because we paid around 20 million to get rid of Mourinho. We paid around £8 or £9 million to get rid of Van Gaal, and around £5 or £6 million to get rid of David Moyes. But don't forget, we're still paying their salaries. We're still paying Moyes' salary, David Van Gaal's salary, and Jose Mourinho's salary, despite the fact we sacked them, because don't forget they were under a contract. So can we afford to sack Solskjaer? I think from my own perception, Solskjaer should do the right thing, and I think he should resign as Manchester United manager. Like I said on my match reaction to the Burnley game, I think he should just come out and, say, I'm a legend of this club, I adore this club, but I am not good enough as a manager. This is what, Solskjaer should basically do, and I think he knows himself he's not good enough for the job at Manchester United. And I just think, the expectations are too high for him here. That's from my own perception. Rio Ferdinand recently came out and he gave his overarching view on it. And, he said, reflects on that game against Burnley, it was an embarrassment. He believes that the recruitment has been poor for the last 4 or 5 years. So obviously he's got the same perception as Gary Neville, because Gary Neville, prior to the Burnley game, was criticising Ed Woodward. The main explanation why he was criticising Ed Woodward was due to the poor recruitment. So he wants Ed Woodward out of the football club, does Gary Neville. And, obviously all our fans want Ed Woodward out. They also want the Glazers out. The Glazers bought the club back in 2005. So they've had the club now they've been on the club now for around 15 years. But, not all the blame stems from Solskjaer due to our inconsistency. I think, everyone else needs to take, responsibility. Because I think, the club's in turmoil at the moment. So, I think there's fundamental issues. And I think everyone's to blame. I think we need a change of management. We need to get rid of the Glazers. We need to get rid of Ed Woodward. We also need to get rid of our current board, because our board have been a liability for several years. And I think the main explanation why they've been a liability is, reflects on their poor recruitment, poor selection of managers. And yes, I think we need to get rid of our current board and recommend a new board in. I think also the coaching staff need to go, because like revert back to what I said yesterday, Solskjaer is an upcoming manager, he's an inexperienced manager, and I've got the same perception on Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna. I don't think, they're also good enough for Manchester United, and I don't think Mike Phelan is good enough for Manchester United. And not only that, there's not only problems in the backroom staff and with the manager in that, I think there's also problems on the pitch, because there's a lot of aspects of our game that do need to improve, and there's still more players that definitely, need to leave Manchester United. I think we need to get rid of around 6 or 7 players this year, because there's still a lot of players here that are no good, and there's a lot of deadwood at the club, and, let's be honest, Solskjaer is still inheriting, the vast majority of the deadwood at the club, because these still players here that are quite decent and I would be determined to keep. But analysing the vast majority of this team, it's Jose Mourinho's, and taking into account Solskjaer's inheriting the vast majority of them. There's still players here from the Louis van Gaal era, there's still matter here from the David Moyes era, and we've got a very average squad, and I think we've had an average squad since Ferguson retired in 2013. I think we've had an average squad. So we've had an average squad for the last 5 or 6 years. But this team is now totally comparison, to the team we had under Alex Ferguson, definitely. But you can say that Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding this Man United team. So I think our board are still determined to back him in this January transfer window. They're also determined to back him in the summer to see who he can recommend in to the football club. But for me, we need to get Pochettino in as our next manager. Like I said, revert back to what I said earlier on in the video, he's now the favourite to take over at Manchester United. And, there's a lot of explanations why we've been a toxic football club for the last 6 or 7 years. We've obviously, made a lot of mistakes. Obviously, Ed Woodward and the Glazers still here. Ferguson made one mistake, and only the mistake was of recommending David Moyes in. Some people believe we should have recommended Jose Mourinho in after the retirement, after Ferguson retired in 2013. I think, we've also maybe let some players go over the years that we shouldn't have let go. So we have made a lot of mistakes in the last 6 or 7 years. But yeah, and another one, we should have recommended Mauricio Pochettino in after the sacking of Jose Mourinho in December 2018, because we've been long admirers of Mauricio Pochettino. Like I did say on my recent videos, the main explanations why we went with our preference was Solskjaer over Pochettino is because Solskjaer was a cheaper solution. We didn't have to pay as much at the time to recommend him in from Mould. Plus, Solskjaer knows the club well. You've got Pochettino, that's totally comparison in that aspect, because Pochettino obviously doesn't know the club as well as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does, basically. And plus, Solskjaer did well in that 3-month period when he was the interim manager, so obviously, we decided to keep him on. But, Pochettino and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer are two comparison managers. I think Mauricio Pochettino is a much better manager than Solskjaer. He's got he's well Premier League proven. The only element of concern I've got about Mauricio Pochettino is that he hasn't won out in terms of silverware. But prior to that, I think he'd be the right solution for Manchester United, and I think he would suit the strappings of the club. I'm not saying that we'd win the league or would be we'd win the league or be title contenders under Mauricio Pochettino. But I just think, we would be at least challenging for that top 4. And we'd just all around be a better team under Pochettino than what we have been under Solskjaer, definitely. And we recommended him in now anyway. We won't have to pay out in compensation because he's currently managerless. He got sacked in November of last year from Tottenham. But he did say after his sacking from Tottenham, that was one mistake Tottenham did make, was sacking Pochettino, because I thought he was a great manager for them. He had a bad spell, earlier on in the season when he was still there, but I still don't think that was excusable to sack him. Pochettino did enjoy a good 5.5-year tenure with Tottenham and that. But he said after he got sacked, he wanted an immediate return to management. Earlier on in the season, there was a lot of speculation about him going to Bayern Munich. There was also a lot of speculation about him going to Real Madrid because Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. The other week it got reported out saying that Barcelona were interested in him. Barcelona sacked Ernesto Valverde, but I think they got the former Real Betis manager in as a replacement. But I think it's interesting taking the job at Man United. But you've got to admire him what he did at Tottenham. He enjoyed a good 5.5-year tenure. Got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final last season. He also, got them to a couple of third place finishes, runners up. Got them to League Cup final in his first full season. So you've got to admire what he did. And I thought he also enjoyed a good short tenure with Southampton. I think he also guided Southampton to their highest ever finish. And before that, he was at Espanyol, was Mauricio Pochettino. So far, he's managed a total of 3 clubs. But I think he came out last week, did Pochettino, and he's indicated out where his next managerial job will be. And it will either be in England or Spain. Yeah, so I do believe, from my own perception, that Mauricio Pochettino is going to hold more talks with Manchester United. We said the other day, this was prior to the Burnley game, that even if Man United don't get in the top 4 this season, Solskjaer will still be at the football club, at the end of the season. But I've got to say now, it is time for the change at Manchester United. And it is time for the change at Manchester United, basically. It's time for the change. And there's aspects of me that feel sorry for Solskjaer. Like I've said on my videos early on this season, I think the club have put him in a position, they've put him in a very, very difficult position. I feel as though the job is too big for him. And I know it's not always the right solution, persistently sacking managers, because we've already sacked 3 managers since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, David Moyes got sacked after 10 months. Van Gaal got sacked after like a year or so, despite the fact he won the FA Cup. Mourinho got sacked after 2.5 years. He won 2 trophies in his first season. So, I think Man United, with the size of our club, I think we need to get a manager in to the top level. We need a manager with a proven pedigree. It's not always the right solution getting the managers in though with the proven pedigrees. Because prime example, we've already had 2 world-class managers in Van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. Because obviously, when we had Louis Van Gaal, at the time we recommended him in, I thought he'd done well because obviously, he did really, really well at Bayern Munich at that time before we got him in. I thought, Mourinho would have done really, really well, despite the fact he had problems at Chelsea with the club doctor and that. And I still thought he'd done well, though, with the amount of trophies he's won. Mourinho's won around 25 major honours, now. But I think anywhere from my own perception that Jose Mourinho is finished at the top level. I've got to be honest, I think he's definitely nowhere finished at the top level. But Man United are not really known for attacking football club, despite the fact that we have sat 3 managers in that. And for us to getting back to where we want to be, it's going to take several years. I think we need at least 5, 6, maybe 7 more signings if we are to be back to being a competitive elite level football club and future title contenders. We've also obviously, got to get the right manager in. And I think regardless who our manager is, I don't think we'll ever be the team that we was under Ferguson. We'll never be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. Never, ever be the team that we was. And Solskjaer definitely won't invoke Ferguson's legacy at the football club. But there's another prime example. Ferguson didn't settle in straight away. He didn't win out in his first 4 years at the football club. But look what he went and accomplished after not winning out in his first 4 years. But we know back in, the old generation that, managers then would get the time that they wanted because obviously, the boards were nowhere near as ruthless to the extent as they are now. So I don't see us ever being the team that was under Ferguson. But I did say I'm hopeful that this team at this day and age can replicate what the team did under Alex Ferguson. But yeah, so we've got to get Solskjaer out of the football club, and we're happy to see Man United appoint Mauricio Pochettino in, because analysing anywhere the vast majority of his tenure with Tottenham were competing in and out of the top 4. But I think then in the last couple of years of his managerial tenure, Tottenham, all of a sudden became title contenders, definitely. And and I did say, didn't I, at the start of this season that this is Solskjaer's first full season, by the way, but I still said I expected us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was bad enough. We finished 6th last season, didn't win anything. I think the lowest we finished in the Premier League era was 7th back under the David Moyes era. Totally comparison to where we finished under Ferguson. I think the lowest we ever finished under Ferguson in the Premier League era was 3rd. So that just indicates how good we was under Alex Ferguson. I still didn't expect us to win the league this season or challenge for the league, but I just expect us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season. So I think, by come the end of the season, this could be the worst ever Premier League season that Manchester United have had. And so far to this point it is, because we're 24 games into the Premier League season. We've registered 34 points from 24 games, and that's nowhere near good enough to our standards, definitely. And, I'm ashamed to be a Manchester United fan at the moment, because, I've supported Man United all my life, and I've experienced fantastic times as a Manchester United fan. 1999 was good, obviously. One of the club's greatest achievements. Obviously, the most successful club in England historically. Reflect on, the titles. We've won 20 titles, 13 of them Premier League titles. Won 3 back-to-back titles back in 2007, 2008 and 2009. So I've experienced great times as a Manchester United fan. But what I've seen for the last 6-7 years is been totally a comparison. And the question is, are Man United ever going to win the league again? Because we haven't won it since 2013. We haven't won it now for almost 7 years, and I'm hopeful that it isn't going to take us another 30 years to win another league title like it has done with Liverpool, of course. But definitely, Manchester United have got to make more signings now. We've got to make more signings. Solskjaer did recommend 3 good players to the squad last summer. We spent nearly £150 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire. And I think the 3 signings that recommended in have done quite well, to be fair. Maybe they've had a couple quite a few bad games, but I still think, they've settled in really, really well. But we need more than that. This year, we've got to adjust that midfield. We've also got to get a striker in now, reflecting on the injury to Marcus Rashford. Rashford, he said he could be out for at least 6 weeks. More than likely, he's going to be out for the rest of the season now. If not the rest of the season, could be out at least until April, because Rashford has sustained a double fracture in his back, basically. And, I think you can say Solskjaer maybe is to blame for some of that. Some of the blame stems from him playing him against Wolves. He shouldn't have played Rashford against Wolves, should Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Shouldn't have played him against Wolves. And Ian Wright, says, some of the blame stems from Solskjaer. But this injury he's got now, Rashford, is totally comparison to the injury he had earlier on in the season. But, now, reflect on the injury to Rashford, Solskjaer said we could delve into this transfer market for short-term deals. And he has been quite a few strikers on our agenda, basically. But that midfield is more of a priority, than that attacking line, because I think Man United need 2 midfielders. We're in search for an attacking midfielder. We're also in search for a holding midfielder, So I think Paul Pogba's going to leave the club in the summer. He won't leave in January. Ander Herrera, of course, left last summer. You can say that's another mistake for Man United, letting Ander Herrera go, definitely. I'll give you the news regarding Bruno Fernandes yesterday now. Bruno Fernandes is our number 1 priority target. But, we're just struggling to get this deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes. We have now got 7 days to complete the signing of Bruno Fernandes. And I can't believe how we have not signed Bruno Fernandes yet. We should have had him signed at the beginning of the month. The main explanation why we have not got Bruno Fernandes on the board is because we're not willing to meet Sporting Lisbon's valuation. So the actual fee, Man United and Sporting Lisbon are struggling to come to an agreement on a fee. A lot of reports from the Portuguese press came out the other week, and they said that the personal terms have been agreed. He's set to earn a contract worth around 120 grand a week, but no fee has come to an agreement. And reports were saying yesterday, like I updated you, they said now that Bruno Fernandes' move to Man United is off, because we're not willing to meet their valuation. I think Damasio confirmed. He was an Italian journalist, and he tends to be reliable the vast majority of the time. And he says, he was close to joining Manchester United and that. But in other media outlets, it's saying that, the deal now is off, because Sporting Lisbon have said they want around £68 million. I think we're only willing to pay around, £47 million up front. We've already had one bid turned down for him. We had around a £42 million bid up front, turned down, and there was series of add-ons included. And then reportedly it says the other day that we'd increased our offer, but we're still around £5 million short of Sporting Lisbon's valuation. But Bruno Fernandes has made it clear he wants to come to Manchester United. That's his preference. He's already told Sporting Lisbon that he basically does want to leave. He played against Braga earlier on this week. I should presume that's Bruno Fernandes' last game as a Sporting Lisbon player. Last Friday, Sporting Lisbon played Benfica. Bruno Fernandes played in that. And realistically, that should have been his farewell appearance, because reports were emerging out before that game saying that Man United wanted to get the deal over the line before he played against Benfica. But this is definitely nowhere really infuriating me. And I did say, there's credibility in Bruno Fernandes to Man United, because when it's coming from the BBC, which is a reliable source, when it's coming from Sky Sports, which is a reliable source, there's definitely nowhere something in it. George Mendes came out a couple of days ago. He's also been working on Fernandes' transfer to Man United, and he actually said that he doesn't know if Bruno Fernandes is going to join Man United in this January transfer window. But if he doesn't leave in January, he expects him to leave this summer, basically. So this is George Mendes' perception on it. Paul Scholes, he came out reflecting on our 2-0 defeat to Burnley, and he actually said that he still thinks this reflects on the 2-0 defeat to Burnley. This will increase our chances of getting Bruno Fernandes and that. But there again, Bruno Fernandes will think, why do I want to join a club like that? I can join a much better club in the Premier League if I am to come to the Premier League. Don't forget. So that was from Paul Scholes' perception, basically. But, we've been locked in negotiations, with Sporting Lisbon. But I think Bruno Fernandes would be a great addition to the squad. Predominantly an attacking midfielder, can provide goals from the midfield, can create chances, can provide assists, and he's only the age of 25. Don't get me wrong, Bruno Fernandes isn't enough. Obviously, a lot more is needed than Bruno Fernandes, but he's a big help for us. He is a big help because, we've seen him as an adequate replacement for Paul Pogba. I think he's had a good couple of years in Portugal with Sporting Lisbon. He also did well in Italy, when he was younger. I think realistically we should have got Bruno Fernandes last summer, but again, we weren't willing to meet Sporting Lisbon's valuation. Sporting Lisbon last summer wanted 70 million. We only valued him at £50 million. Tottenham went in for him last summer. City went in for him, so too did Liverpool. They went in for Bruno Fernandes, so he has been subjected to a lot of transfer speculation. This season, I think he's on like 15 goals and 14 assists in like 20-odd appearances for Sporting Lisbon. So we've got to get this deal over the line. And I think if we do sign Bruno Fernandes, he's the only signing that Man United are going to make in this January transfer window. I don't expect any more signings, to be quite honest with you. We're already making plans for the summer, and there's quite a few players we could go in for in the summer, basically. So take that into account, And a lot of people believe, look, we haven't got the money, to get the right players into Manchester United. I think we can still attract players to the elite level. But, with us selling players, don't forget, with us selling players, we're going to generate money. We sell Pogba, we're going to generate quite a bit of money. There's talks that, if we were to sell De Gea, we'd generate, quite a bit of money. And there's still problematic players at the club. I think who needs to go? Jones needs to go. Matic needs to go. Lingard needs to go. Chon needs to be loaned out. Isn't good enough as yet to that level. I think Luke Shaw, a lot of people are saying that Luke Shaw needs to go. Rojo needs to go. Some people say Bay needs to go because he's too injury prone for the club. So there's still a lot of players that need to leave Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, so I still presume that, talks will resume between Man United and Sporting Lisbon for Bruno Fernandes, but we've got to get this deal over the line. And I think the club should just pay what Sporting Lisbon are demanding. He's worth the money, despite the fact that Sporting Lisbon got him from next to note from Sampdoria. He's worth the money, he's Bruno Fernandes, because we're known for overpaying for players anywhere. So take that into account. Obviously, we're still in for James Maddison. Again, I think James Maddison would be the right calibre player for Manchester United. If we are to get James Maddison, I think it's more likely he'll be a summer transfer target rather than in this January transfer window. I don't think Leicester are determined to let him go in this January transfer window because Leicester know how much of an imperative player he is. James Maddison will cost us a substantial amount. We'd probably have to pay around 70 or 80 million pounds to get him in. So we'd have to pay the exact same fee or a similar fee to what we paid for Harry Maguire, basically. Yeah, but, allegedly we've been in for James Maddison since June. He's now into his second season with Leicester. I think now he's currently replicating in his second season what he did in his debut season with Leicester. James Maddison is like on 60-odd appearances for Leicester in all competitions since his arrival from Norwich. Still got around 3 years left on his current contract with them. Leicester paid around £20 million for him from Norwich in the summer of 2018, and he is only at the age of 23. But yeah, he's been another midfielder on our agenda. Boubakary Soumaré from Lille. He's another midfielder on our agenda. He's set to decide on his future by the end of this month. Man United and Chelsea have been in for him. The players held negotiations with both clubs. Liverpool and Tottenham now are reportedly in for him. But again, very, very good player. Only 20 years of age. Operates well in that box-to-box role. Passing accuracy good. His composure is very, very good. And he's been a revelation for Lille. And I think he's still got around 2.5 years left on his deal for Lille. I think he would cost him the access of around £40 odd million, would him? Yes, he would. So he's another player on our agenda. So we've got to make signings in this January transfer window. We've got to do it because our recruitment policy is absolutely poor. It's absolutely poor, is our recruitment policy. And, you know, look at the position we're in. We're not in that position as we should be in, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into this football club. You know, we've spent nearly £1 billion on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 years. And I think that's disregarding, you know, what Man United spent under Alex Ferguson. You know, so we spent a hell of a lot of money. You know, we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League, highest paid players. So what's going on at Manchester United? And, you know, I think the right solution is get Pochettino in, get a clear out, get new owners in, get a new board in, get a new chairman in, and I think, you know, that's a step forward for Manchester United, definitely. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.